Hello and welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm Sherry Duckworth, and joining me today is Mr. Joe Walker. He is Executive Director for Youth Achievement Foundation. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today.
Sherry, it's a pleasure to be here.
I always love talking to people about education and mentoring young people. It just kind of makes me feel, I don't know, excited about the future, just because, you know, our young people, they're our future.
They are. They really are. And it's the best part of my job is getting to work with these young people. It's very, very exciting.
I wish we had some kind of way to like get some of their energy though and like bottle it up, you know?
I know.
That's the thing, is their energy is so contagious if we could just take it home with us.
Yeah. Youth is wasted on the young.
Oh, it's so funny. So with the Youth Achievement Foundation, you all have the opportunity obviously to mentor youth. Tell us a bit about what drives you? What's the passion that drives you about working with youth and mentoring youth?
Well, you touched on it a minute ago, Sherry. It really is the fact that they are the future, and what are we going to leave behind when we're gone? And also that kids today, I think, need an awful lot of help in ways that they did not need even when I was growing up. The world has changed, the breakdown of the family, the lack of role models, so little attention the kids, many kids are able to have from adults. All we try to do is try to supplement that. You know, we can't replace the family, we can't, you know, do everything. But our main goal is to put an adult in the life of these kids who knows their name. And just having an adult that knows their name just makes all the difference in the world.
So for those who are watching today, just little things that we can do as adults, reaching out to the community, helping youth, mentoring youth. What are some easy ways to mentor someone who's in our community?
Great question. And you know, we in our foundation, what we are trying to do is to go right into the school districts and work in individual schools so that the kids are comfortable, and we bring adults in to work, you know, usually in the afternoon or after school with the kids. But everyone can get involved with doing what we do, whether they, you know, volunteer for a program like ours or whether they just get together within their community. Kids get lost in the fast-paced world in which we're living. And so many kids just lack the individual and attention from an adult and someone who wants to give them a character message. Because character is very, very important, and so many of the role models today, especially on TV and things in the video world that they get, entertainment, is just all the wrong messages.
Yeah, and I think it'd be fun to be that crazy neighbor they remember who tutored them in a particular subject or was always asking them how they're doing and what's going on in their lives.
And the second part is really, really important. It's just asking them what's going on. We do tutoring. I mean, when we go into the schools, we're helping the kids with their math and their reading. But that does two things. First of all, it helps the kid to grow in confidence and to be able to, you know, feel like they're really making progress. But more importantly, it builds a relationship. And again, it comes back to having a person in their life that knows their name. So if you're a neighbor, if you want to get together, or even parents, you get 4 or 5 of your children's friends together, and maybe you go out on a Saturday and you just go out to the park and you have a cookout and you turn off the radio, you turn off the video games, and you just be with them. You take them to work. You get a group of kids and take them to work on a Saturday. Let them see what you do. Talk about their future. Let them see the future that they're moving to. These little things make a huge difference.
Being present in their life.
Being present in their life, exactly.
It's really interesting because, you know, we talk about mentoring for a better education. And, you know, right now we're talking about, well, that starts with you have to know their name, you have to spend time with them, you have to build a relationship with them. And having worked with young people, trust with them is so huge. What has been your experience with working with young people when you try to help them before that trust is built?
That's, again, a great question. I don't think you can. They have to see that you care before they will care. And so once you reach out to them, and that's why the tutoring aspect is so important, because you are helping them. They see you helping them with their math or with their reading, finishing their project that they're working on. and they see that you care, then you can begin to talk to them. And once you know, at the younger ages, you can sometimes just ask a provocative question, like in the 5th grade, 6th grade. And one of the things about our program is very important. We separate boys from girls. And when you're speaking about character development, I think it's very, very important to understand boys are different than girls. We're all equal in dignity, we are equal in the things that we can do, but we're different. And being able to put a good, strong male in front of a boy to give him something to be able to identify with, or a good, strong woman in front of a girl for the same reasons, that begins to create a bond right there. And then you challenge them to little things. We'll start in the 4th and 5th grade. We have all the kids tell us what they want to do when they grow up, where they want to go to college. We know that they don't know where they're going to go. We know that they don't know usually what they're going to do, but it gets them thinking ahead. By the time we get into middle school, you start asking them really good questions. You ask a boy, hey, what kind of father do you want to be? What kind of dad do you want to be? And so many of these kids don't even know their dad, and they feel cheated. So they start really giving you a good response, or they can get there with a little bit of help. But now you've asked them something which is really serious, which is embroidered inside their heart. They just need some help in developing it. It's huge.
That is huge. And to stop and think about a middle school boy, you know, what kind of dad do you want to be? That's not exactly something that you stop to really consider when you're in middle school. But what a great way for them to look into their future so that they can better plan, because we're just so, we have so much tunnel vision when we're young, and we only see really what's in front of us at that moment in our lives.
Well, we also have that, Sherry, but what we also, with the culture that we have today, is we don't take time out for things. We very much hustle and bustle, move, immediate gratification. This is why I hate video games. And I would, this is going to probably shock some of your...
no offense to our video game lovers out there.
But I would rather my kids smoke a pack of cigarettes every day than play on video games for any extended period.
This is merely an opinion, right?
Merely opinion, but what it does is it feeds this immediate gratification, and it also takes away from the ability of this person to concentrate for extended periods of time. And that's a skill that you need when you're growing up.
Now, because of that, how has this changed education?
I think that it's hurt education. I think that one of the things that's happening right now in education is that we're moving towards measuring very quantifiable results. So we're looking to preparing kids for tests. We're measuring math and science, which is very easy to quantify. And we're missing out on the character side. There's a reduced emphasis on history, a reduced emphasis on literature, poetry. And I like to tell our kids that I tell the mentors this to try to develop it more in the kids, but there's 3 steps towards character development. One is learning to do good. The second is learning to be good. And learning to be good comes when you begin to see that there's another person out there. You're not just doing it to get ahead. You're doing it because you're impacting another person, just as our mentors are trying to do with the kids. And then finally is becoming an expert in humanity. And that last one is understanding people not so that you can manipulate them, but so that you can motivate them, so that you can understand them, so that you can better communicate with them, so you can better work with them, to build real personal relationships. And history and English, poetry, help all those things to develop, and we've really lost touch. We've de-emphasized those things, thinking that we've got to be able to compete with the world in math and science. Math and science is good, but there's more to life than just that.
Right, so it's a balance. You have to have all of it.
You have, exactly. And that's right. You don't forsake the math and the science. They're not mutually exclusive. But we are making them mutually exclusive because we're moving so much just to quantifiable measurements. And I think that's something that we need to re-examine, especially at a legislative level, because the state mandates a lot of this. And then the teachers get stuck having to do it.
So for a teacher, obviously, they're immediately labeled mentor. You know, you're a school teacher, now you're a role model, now you're a mentor to all of these young people. That's a huge responsibility as an educator. So can you encourage our educators today who are watching just to be able to fill those shoes of that responsibility? What would you say to them today?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, for instance, in school district in which I do most of the work in, which is in Garland, they're fabulous teachers and a fabulous administration. I mean, they truly, truly care about these kids, and I can say that with no reservations. I would, and I think they are handicapped to a certain degree because of this having to always test for the test. But they are role models, and they know that they're role models. I would say not only to the teachers, but to the parents, if I had to say one area in which to challenge, is start to challenge the reading material. Because one of the mistakes that is made in reading right now is that we just think it's important that kids read. And that's not enough. It's what they read. And they need to read things that inspire them. They need to read things that will motivate them to be better. And this is again why history and literature, and particularly classical literature, even for young people, reading adventures and things like Moby Dick and things like that will help these kids to really begin to grow in virtue. And that's what we want to do. And then also that boys, again, are different than girls. And so often I do see boys are asked to read things which are very, very unexciting to boys. and you see the reading scores are going down for boys. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the material we're asking them to read.
So finding things that teach them, that also gets their attention, that's going to really help them long term.
Boys love history, they love adventure, they love biographies. And once you get them introduced to them, even if it's sports biographies. I mean, I started with sports biographies, baseball and boxing, and then gradually moved into, you know, just a real love for history.
I like it.
But this is what boys love, and I work more with boys than girls, but girls have their own interests too, and that needs to be sparked. And that's what, you know, other women can do so good in saying, well, I read this when I was in school, and this is exciting, and it works.
That's wonderful advice, I think, because it's simple and, you know, we think, oh gosh, you know, you want me to mentor someone. That's a huge responsibility, you know, to be somebody's mentor, but it's basically sharing your life experience with them.
And setting reasonable, good goals. I want you to be good. I want you to be a good person. Hence, why do we ask them, what kind of father are you going to be?
Right.
I mean, I think that's the greatest question to ask a young man or a young woman. What kind of mother are you going to be? What kind of man do you want to marry? Even asking that in the 5th and 6th grade, because these kids are getting so many of the wrong messages. Let's ask them the right messages.
Well, asking them those challenging questions helps them to plan for their future. It helps them to look at their education, what they need to do in order to make that dream or that goal happen. If they want to be a certain type of person in the future, there's steps that have to be made. And so making sure that their education is planned for and looking long term instead of just at what's happening in front of them is so important. So thank you so much for coming and talking with us today. What the Youth Achievement Foundation does is more than just tutoring. It's more than just, you know, having a place for kids to go, but you really are helping them to, helping our future, you know, to have a quality leaders out there in our future. And so we thank you for what you're doing.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to share it with your viewers.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching Joy in Our Town.